That's a different subject and topic of. We are live on everything. Colin came on and going to introduce today. Yes, for a change.
Hello everyone. Sorry, I'm just
You have to be louder on here.
oh yeah. Yeah, hello everyone. Welcome today.
Um,
If you're gonna start doing what I'm doing, I don't do no more intros.
but you're the one doing the not
yeah,
me.
because I'm thinking about what I'm saying. I can't just be do you know what I mean? Anyway, yeah, as you can see from the title today,
Alison's on.
of course she is.
You trying to say?
Why am I not surprised?
I need
Yeah, so today we're, as you can see from the title, we're talking about basically police brutality in the UK.
well, yeah, kind of.
Kind of, yeah.
Or whether there
Whether
there actually is, and there is plenty of evidence, not just blacks, but
Ooh,
you're going to see there is some kind of trend of theme. I think probably these two as females much personal issue with the police as had it been my sons. But I've got plenty of personal stories, and anybody else who joins us, you know, jump in at whatever level you wish to. It's all good. Probably the statistical information first is a good idea. According to, you know, the powers that be, statistics don't lie. So, but you know, even if that's the case, that they don't lie, well then that's terrible as well, because the statistics, get the word out, are not really in favour of my statement. Did Black lives ever matter to police in the UK? It's a very loaded question. And let's see by the time we finish whether we have a conclusive answer. My personal answer at this point, even at the very beginning, would be I think not. And I have had the unfortunate and fortunate privilege of being quite close to the police. And I will still say no. I bet you can't guess how many, in terms of blacks, are in the police force percentage-wise. I bet you can't guess. You'll be surprised. It's a very, very stupid figure. The percentage of black police officers across the country is, you'll be shocked when you hear it. Take a guess. Percentage out of you know, overall what it could be.
You can go for a higher one.
10%.
10%. That's high, because I already know how it goes on. I wanted to say 5.
Okay, Tamar says 10%.
That's my highest.
Angelica says 5. The actual percentage of black police officers across the whole of the UK is 1.3%. 1.3%. Alison said 2. You weren't far off. 1.3%. Imagine, it's unbelievable. So we are totally and absolutely outnumbered because we don't exist there. But now here's the interesting thing. They say, and this is what has been said for God knows how many years. I mean, I joined the prison service in 1991, December the 16th, 1991, to be precise. That's when I joined HM prison service. However many years ago that was till now, I don't know. None. Right? But even from all that time ago, and prison and police have got some obvious similarities. And I will say, I don't know what they're saying. I will say one or two things about prison as well. But even from way back then, they were advocating, oh, we want more ethnic minorities involved with the police. We want more ethnic minority spokespeople. We want more ethnic minority, you know, black, Asian, minority, ethnic staff, and so on. This is what they said. Like I said, I worked as a prison officer. That's one. I also, between 1994 and 1990, was the first ever black member of the Northamptonshire Police Authority. Police officers do not exist anymore, but at the time when they did exist, the appointments to the police authority were either from a political party or you were elected by the Home Secretary. So in my case, being an independent member of the police authority, I was appointed by the Home Secretary. So it was a public office. And I held that for just over 4 years. And I was the first black person in the Northamptonshire Police Authority ever. And I was the youngest member in the whole country. So, you know, whether that's a big thing or not, but that was how it was. And I can tell you that countrywide, I was used as the token. That's all. And I, in the end, it got to the point where I would tell them, don't come to me and expect me to report on everything for every black person in the whole of the UK. You guys need to go and do your work. And clearly you're not doing your work, because if I tell you what experience I've had, and I've probably had not as much negative experience as some, one or two things, they were shocked. Oh my goodness, we didn't know it was like that. What do they mean? Because the white people weren't going through the same thing. Police weren't behaving towards them, especially males. I stayed on the right side of the law all of my life, and I've still had very negative experiences with the police as a black man. Even to the point, let me even give you a classic example. I may have told this story before anyway, some may have heard it. I was working as a prison officer, got on my lunch, so I had on my uniform, you know, black and white uniform, whatever it is, dark blue and white, HM prison service on the lapel. So I'm driving my nice car, Jaguar Sovereign XJ6, always making noise with music because that's just me. And I see a police car drive past me this way, and he's staring into the car as he's driving past, not looking on the road, he's looking at me as he's passing. So I just knew what was coming next. And this is what I'm saying, imagine. And I guess a lot of black men can tell you the same thing as what I'm going to tell you. I knew what was coming next. He turned around and he drove, and now he's following behind me. So I said, oh, good. I said, it's lunchtime and I'm cool. I've got a bit of time. So let me have some fun. So I put my foot down, made sure I went right up to the limit of the speed limit. And I left him. And then I turned right, zoom. And then I see him on my tail behind me, zoom. Because he's making sure that I'm not leaving him. He's staying with me. So then I've turned and I've turned again. I've turned down the street and I've spun round and I'm facing him. So by the time he's turned and came down the road where I was, my car is now facing him. And I'm just parked, waiting. So he's come and he's parked in front. And of course, remember, all he saw was a black man driving a expensive car. So he's coming to chat rubbish. So as he walked up to the car, I just said, he waited. No doubt he probably checked to see who that car belonged to, F55544UMM. I said, okay, go and he'll do his checks, then he'll come. So I didn't wait for him to come knocking on the window, the usual, hello, sir, is this your car? Can you step out of the car? I stepped out as he walked towards me. And he almost choked on the spot because he saw a uniform, which at first he wasn't sure if I was a policeman like him or what.
Mm.
And then as he got closer, he looked at the lapel. And I'm like, yeah, what do you want? He's like, oh, I said, what do you mean, I said, why were you following me? And I didn't give him any time to speak. I told him, I said, I saw when you drove past me going the other way and you spun round and then you started following me. Why were you following me? Oh, can you tell me where you're going? I said, no, I can't. It's none of your business. I said, and as you can see, I'm working. Yeah, can you read? What does it say there? And of course, he's like just looking at me with his eyes. So I said, so what exactly is your problem? Well, actually, there was a car like yours, which was reported for dangerous driving. I said, oh, at what time? Oh, sometime during the morning. I said, oh, when I was working in the prison. I said, and can you tell me the registration of that car, which you said was reported?
Yeah.
I said, was it the registration of this car? It was a car like yours. I said, so it was like my car. You don't know that it was my car. And that's all I'm getting out of him. I said, right. I said, oh, clearly we know what your problem is. See you later. And I got back in my car. Now that's just one incident. I can give you loads. That one was actually, quite a good one, because I had a uniform on which kind of made him behave himself better with good manners.
Yeah.
But you imagine, I stayed on the right side of the law throughout, and I can still tell you many stories about police. So we do have to ask that question, and we will answer it somehow. Did Black lives ever matter? Because what I've seen over the years, from my own personal experience and experiences of others, that I have to question that and wonder. We've got stuff that people are saying, haven't we? You guys need to keep up, because what was the first one up top?
Black lives certainly do not matter. Having worked for us, I think that's Hertfordshire.
Who's that?
Anita,
oh yes.
And Essex and NVDA. It's like jumping from the frying pan directly into the frying pan.
Oh yes.
Roy says good evening.
Hi, Roy.
Anita says my secrecy act has expired, so I can speak freely. However, if I disappear overnight or found dead, you know who's responsible.
Oh yes, we know Anita. Same here. I signed the official, whatever it's called. You never know what they call it. It's official secret something rubbish in 1991. Sorry. Well, I'm not bound by that anymore. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't name any names, neither of prisoners nor of officers, but I can mention stories, and I'll definitely mention stories by all means, because why should we not? With my own two eyes, I've seen many things that should never have been, and I can clearly say, had those things been the other way around, the outcomes would have been different. When I was a member of the police authority, one of my responsibilities was complaints and discipline. So that means that I was part of the Chief Constable's committee, who saw all the disciplinary procedures for senior officers. So when we say senior officers, we're talking superintendent and above. So all of those officers, which in a local police force would be superintendent, chief superintendent, assistant chief constable, which there's usually more than one of, deputy chief constable and chief constable. So it was all of them, the senior guys, the top ones. And you'll be surprised at the things that we had to deal with. And I'm telling you, for sure, the way that some of those guys were dealt with whether it's that they're Freemasons or whatever the case may be. I looked and I said, this is just crazy. And if this was a black man, not that there's many even who were even close to those positions, the outcome would have been different. I think to date there's only been one black chief constable in the whole of the UK in the police service. To date, just one. So that tells you. And you know, and I can give you another good example. Then we'll give you some statistics. I was also, and I don't know if they did this because they were using me as a token, or they did it because I'm a big mouth, or a bit of both. I don't know. But I was also a member of the appointments committee for the most senior police staff in the county, and that meant chief constable, deputy chief constable, assistant chief constable. So, being on the appointments committee, when they were now looking for a new chief constable, it's quite a prolonged process. We all go away together to a hotel, paid for by the government, which was quite good for me. It's a totally 5-star hotel. You know, you get your own suite, and everything you eat and drink is on them. So I'm like, you know, bring it on. So I'm just enjoying myself. So what they do, they have a reception where all the candidates come and they meet the appointments committee. Now, I was the only black person on that committee. In fact, I was the only person of color on that committee. Now, there was a one of the people who was going for that position of chief constable at the time. Well, I can say, because you're not going to know, you're not going to be able to decide for who. She, at the time, held a different position, which was close to, but was not as high as that. And I had, you know, quite a lot of interaction with her, and she was always very stiff and cold, just very, you know, matter of factly, even squarely professional.
One of them people,
you know. And I thought, one of those like, oh, you don't like me really, but you just, you know, when we have to talk, we talk, and you just do your job square and flat. But now, because now she wanted to impress me, you see, because my vote counts, and suddenly this little black man's vote is going to count. She was the sweetest person ever. How are you? Blah, blah, blah. How's work been? Questions. I'm looking at her like, you never asked me any of that before. And they used to see me even sometimes come to some of the meetings in my uniform from the prison. So, oh, how's work? Blah, blah, blah. Would you like another drink? I'll go and get it for you. And I'm looking and going, good Lord, this is real. Suffice it to say, I didn't vote for her. I voted against her. Anyway, so, you know. But my point is that the police and black people, I don't know. I don't even know where to start. Anita, if you're still there and you want to say something, please do. Oh, she said, oh, I didn't see. Go on.
You know what I mean. She said, I was once stopped in the village where I lived on my way to the shop with my 10-year-old daughter. I was told that a car was broken into in the next village by someone who fits my description with a 10-year-old daughter. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
They refused to accept the name I gave, and I had to ask them to contact Stansted Airport police station to confirm that I am who I said I am. After the confirmation, they sped off.
Of course.
Yeah. She said they traumatized my daughter for no reason, except for the reason that he was black. It's true, because that's what they do. Because that's why even when I've been, when the police are coming, for what reason? We've just come back from the park or something.
They would follow you back from the park.
Yeah, probably.
And they would have watched you get in the car.
Probably
into
followed
the
us
car.
back from the park, yeah. Because you know that park where we used to go to was close.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not far at all. It's not no long drive. It's
No.
like 5-minute drive.
Mm.
Yeah. And literally on the way back, then the police were there tailing behind. And I remember that I said to them, like, oh, Dad, the police are following us. And then, yeah, you were just like, oh, it'll be all right. Let's sit down. I think you were saying, let's sit down, because I was trying to obviously look out the back. Because, you know, that's
And trying to come out of the seat.
yeah, yeah, you already know, because I was like, you know, like this, you know, they're following us. And Dad was like, oh, it's all right, don't worry. So then we got onto the road, didn't we, onto the houses. And then the man still was there, but up Dad's bum.
Mhm.
And then stopped the car. And when Dad stopped, he then stopped his car and then come into us. I can't remember what
Stupidness.
rubbish he was asking. I can't even remember, because I just remember thinking, why are the police? Because obviously I was young then.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah,
I wasn't
no,
even
you-
in high school then.
No, he was very small, maybe like 9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. And then the police are coming and asking, oh, foolish questions. Like, I'm sure that, oh, is this your car, and all these kind of rubbish. And who are these your children, and all this rubbish. And I just remember thinking at the time, like, why are they doing that?
No, they're not my children. I made them out of plasticine.
And we robbed them from the park. Yeah, bearing in mind, I'm pretty sure we were there, Dad, because we never stopped calling his name. So I'm sure that he would have known as soon as he arrived that he was there.
Especially Zakai.
That's
I was
what
just
I'm
gonna
saying.
say that.
Like I used to be saying Dad all the time. So there was no one that couldn't know.
You just like to say for the sake of it.
Yeah.
No one's learning.
Yeah, that was it, innit?
Yeah.
Dad.
Yeah. And for what reason? None. So yeah.
Yeah. And then after that, because you told me, you said, I'm with my children and I've just come from the park. Why are you questioning me? Basically, you just told him, like, what are you trying? Basically, like, what are you playing at? You tried it and it ain't gonna run. And then the man's like, and said something about your, it was either your tire or your tail light or
Some
you
rubbish.
tried to say something
They always
like
try
that,
it.
like about one of his tires is low on the back or something. And then Dad was like, yeah, goodbye. Put out the window.
I mean, I will say I did used to torment some of the police because because of how they behave.
Yeah.
So I would do things like be winding the window up and down, zoom, 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 and just leaving a tiny little gap. So he'd be talking through the gap. Like, I can't hear you, and I close the window. Then I bring it down a bit. Then he start talking. I close the window. I can't hear you. I bring it down because that's what they're doing to me. So I give them a taste of their own medicine.
Exactly. That's exactly.
I've never driven illegal cars. I've never driven without insurance, tax, or what the other one? MOT.
Yeah.
Right. I've had all those things. Now, when I used to be in London and driving around in London, I carried a package. Right. I carried a package with all my documents. I had my driving license. I had my MOT. I had my car insurance and any other kind. What was the one? The VIN, whatever it's called. The one that proves you own the car. I had all the documents together in a folder, right? And so every single time I was stopped, I would just reach and just, right? This is what you want to see. There you go. And I'd hand them up because what they used to do in those days. They probably still do it, I don't know, but I think they don't need to do it so much now because electronically they can check. They used to just write you, and they'd be writing it as they're walking up to you. A producer, produce your license, insurance, MOT, etc. within 7 days at a police station. So you're going to waste your time now to drive all the way to a police station and bring all those documents, and they've got to waste paper, checking them off and sign, yeah, we've seen them, thanks. Right, and then next week you'll be doing the same thing again. And why? Because you're black. That's the thing. And now someone says, oh no, it's not because yes it is. Yes it is because you're black. Because that's why they were doing it. In London I used to get stopped. I turn around the corner, boom, I'm stopped. I drive up the road, I'm stopped again by a next set of police. And I'm still driving the same car at the same speed and I haven't done anything different. And they'll still be stopping you again.
Anita said, only join the police if you are one of the Hebrew boys who can survive the fiery furnace.
Ah! Well, Anita, you know the story anyway, you know, because you've been there. You know, I worked with police and with prison, and neither one of them is better than the other. You know, neither one of them is better than the other. I mean, I don't want to say too many things about prison because we're talking about police, but they're not any better. They're not any better. And it's like for them, then they feel like, oh, good, we've got you now. Once we've arrested you and you're within the system, that's it.
Yeah,
you know,
that's their goal, isn't it? Because as soon as they get them in the system or onto the, it then gives them a reason to, oh well, I have to watch that boy because you know he did this before and he might be susceptible to do something else. So we might be susceptible to do something else, so we better watch him. Or he's friends with this person now, so we better watch him.
But you know, one thing that I would say to young men in particular, whoever may watch this now or later, or whoever will be giving information about it, one thing I'll say to our black young men, just be a little bit more sensible. Because if you know that you are a criminal, right? And I'm saying because you know who you are. Some of you are listening, and some of you will listen later. If you know you are a criminal, then you know what to expect. Okay? And I don't have really much help for you, because at the end of the day, you know who you are and you know what you're doing. So you know what they're going to do to you. All right? Because all you're doing is giving them the opportunity to do that.
You're giving them the ammunition.
You're giving them the ammunition. Now, if you know that you've not done anything wrong, relax.
Yeah, cool off.
You know, when they come in and they're stopping you, they're drawing you down, they want to talk to you, blah, blah, blah. First of all, make sure you know what your rights are. So if you don't know, go and find out. And, you know, and I'm going to talk about that as well anyway. And then just don't get too carried away. No need to be cursing and swearing at the policeman, because irrespective, first of all, until you test it, you don't know whether that policeman is a racist or not. Yes, we know that a large percentage of them are, but you don't know. But even far and above that, that's still a human being just like you. So just cool. You know, because I've seen guys, and as soon as they stop, they're already flying like a jumbo jet. They're up here. You know, and then at the end of the day, the policeman will turn and say, "See, I told you, black guys are aggressive."
Yeah.
Because that's what they want. I've never been aggressive to any police in my life, and I've been stopped loads and loads of times. I've been arrested. I've spent time in police cells and all that. So don't fool yourself and think, oh, he's just talking and he doesn't know. Yeah, I've been there. I've been arrested and I've slept in the police cells. All right. So I know, but I've still never been aggressive to no policeman at any time. None of them have had the opportunity to box me up in any way, shape or form, or squeeze me up in any way, shape or form, because I didn't give them the chance.
Yeah, because that's what they're looking for.
Right? That's what they're looking for. But yet still, I didn't allow them to treat me like an idiot. You see? Because certain things I know my rights and I don't change. So when they've come and they've pulled up, like for instance, another one came, stopped me for no reason, pulled up behind me, comes walking up to the car. Would you like to step out of the car, please? So I said, no, I wouldn't. And then I just sat there looking at him. And he's like, oh, you know, it'll be easier for you. I said, no, I don't care. It's easier for me to sit where I am because I didn't ask you to stop me.
Yeah.
So whatever you want to say, you stand at my window and you tell me what you have to say. That's my right. So he talked, blah, 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 blah. I said, well, what do you want? That policeman went and took even the little measuring gauge to measure the tread of the tires and went round all 4 of the tires. Then he took some little slip of paper, something, some litmus paper or something, put it in my exhaust pipe to be checked. He was going to town. And he didn't really, he said, oh, well, actually, you know, one of the tires at the back is just borderline, right? So you've got about a week with that one, okay? So I'm just looking at him,
I can just imagine it.
you know, with that face. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Okay, next.
Yeah, you're boring.
Then he sees my passenger, a Nigerian lady who I was dropping home after Bible study. Oh, hello. I said, listen, I said, don't talk to my passenger. I said, my passenger's got nothing to do with, my passenger is not a driver, right? So don't talk to my passenger. Oh, where do you come from? I said, don't talk to my passenger. She doesn't come from anywhere.
She comes from the business.
Right? And he's like, oh. And he's still trying to, I said, no, don't talk to my passenger. And then that's when I put the window up and left a small gap. So you can talk through the gap now. And I had tinted windows as well. So that's it. I said, don't talk to my passenger. But that's within the law.
Yeah,
What's Anita saying?
she said police officer turned MOT tester.
Well, this is what I'm saying. All of that simply because he thought, I've got to get something to harass this guy today.
Something.
And now some of our young men, they get crazy about it and they start getting angry. They want to fight the police. I don't. No. I know my rights. I don't need to fight them. But I'll just tell them, you want to check. You check what you want, but do it the right way. And if you don't know what that is, it's not my problem. They use it.
Because that's why even when they want to arrest someone, if you ain't done nothing, go to the police station. All that's gonna happen is you're gonna be let go because there's nothing to hold you.
I've told them, but you know, I've seen. And don't get me wrong, because you know, in this day and age now of social media, which back in the day, you know, when I was a teenager, there was not even CCTV, right? So CCTV now is in your nostrils, right? They can count the hairs inside your nose. There was no CCTV, so police were carrying on like savages, and everybody else was carrying on like a savage as well. It wasn't just the police.
Yeah, because they could just do.
You know, don't get it twisted. It wasn't just the police. There were plenty of guys who knew there's no CCTV. I'll just take a baseball bat and clap this guy around his head and walk off because nobody can say it was me. You know, there was a lot of things going on. So don't get it twisted in that respect. But the issue now, you know, you see guys being arrested and then everybody, the police did this, and everybody is a philosopher on how it should have gone. And everybody's a philosopher on who's right and who's wrong. All I'm saying for our young men, especially, cool it down.
Yeah.
Because they're after you anyway. Whether you're right or wrong, they're after you. Whether you are a criminal or non-criminal, they're after you. Because they're after you simply because you are black. That's what you've got to understand. They're after you anyway. I was never a criminal. I worked with them. I worked in the prison as a discipline officer. I worked with the police as a public servant, and still they were after me. And why were they after me? Because I'm black. Not because I was a criminal.
If that was why, if you come in some commissioner top, do you know what I mean?
Climbing the ladder.
Yeah, but because he's black, they're like, nah.
And not just
And
because,
also too outspoken.
and because I'm outspoken, because
You'll be telling, nah, that ain't running no.
don't be fooled for 1 minute that they don't log what you say. They do. There's a record of all of those things. And that's how racism. Yeah, I'm going to tell you this story. Many who know me closely, they know the story, but I'm going to tell you this one. This is prison related, not police, but they're the same kind of
mentality.
They're the same mentality, and some of them they're all part of the same Freemason group and all they do.
Yeah.
The governor of the prison where I was working sent for me one day. I should come to his office. Now, normally, you don't really go to see the governing governor of the prison unless there's a problem, because you've got your own local wing manager, who's your immediate boss, so to speak, and you also have wing governors. You know, so you don't normally go. So I thought, it's interesting. Want to see me. So gone to his office. Oh, that Jaguar that you're driving, where do you get the money to get that from? So I looked at him, I said, can you repeat that question? I said, are you serious? He said, yeah, where do you get the money to buy a car, to be able to drive a car like that? So I said, I'm going to give you an answer. I'm going to give you the answer that you want. He said, really? I said, yeah, I put riches on the street. That's the answer I gave him. Right? I said, so that's where I get the money from. Next question. He sat there with his mouth wide open. I said, you are impertinent to ask me such a question, but there's your answer. I said, so do what you want with that answer. I said, and if you're finished, I would like to leave. He said, yes, go. And the whole prison heard about it. I said, yeah, ask me rubbish again. How is it his business to ask me that? Because what he means, how could a little black man be driving a big old car like that, and we know how much we pay you?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
what?
Yeah, that's what he's trying to say. That the pay is not looking.
Yeah, so what? I must be dealing drugs in the jail or something.
Yeah, clearly.
Out of order.
You see? Saving a long time for him, you don't know.
That's what I'm saying. But you see, that's automatic because they're not asking other people those things.
Yeah,
no, it's me one they're asking.
If some white officer came in with a popping car, I can guarantee. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Thinking, how long did you have to save for that one then? And all this type of rubbish. Yeah, how long did you have to save for that one? Yeah, where did you get a good deal on it? And all of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then when it's dad, oh no, it's how
have you got the money?
What are you talking about? You don't even know my expenses. That's what I've been telling him. No, you don't know my expenses. You don't know what money I'm getting and I ain't getting. You don't know what you give me.
But the thing is that they want to
yeah, exactly.
You know, it's all part of a power struggle.
Yeah.
You know?
We also have to stand our ground.
Of course.
Yeah, it's true.
Rude. Asking me such things.
It is rude.
You know?
That's the thing, isn't it? When they're all, when the top ones are Freemasons, what can you really expect trickling down the line?
Well,
there's more who are lower who are also
going to be on the same tip as them.
Yeah. When they're doing these little racist things, they'll be going to their little commissioners and constables who are also Freemason or racist like them and just tell them, just
wipe it off.
Let me off. And they'll be like, don't worry, we'll sort that out. No one will know about that again. You know what I mean?
Well,
get wiped off your record and all these kind of things. This is what's going on.
In fact, let me give you a story about police. I'll not name names. I'll not even say which police force it was, because this is public information. And if you put the dots together, you will find it.
Yeah.
Right? So, because it was a big scandal. When I worked in the police authority, remember it's a government appointment appointed by the Home Secretary. So that means we have the right to scrutinize lots of different information, at least we did at that time. So there was a particular high-ranking policeman who some of us said was no good. And we kept on saying it. This guy, this high-ranking, and he was very high-ranking, and said this guy is no good. He's a bad egg. Let's put it that way. I'm trying to use diplomatic language.
I know exactly what you're saying.
Right? So we said he is a bad egg. Right? That's the way we put it. Right? And he don't fly like the rest of the birds. Let me give you a little bit more information so you'll understand it better. Right? Read between the lines, those who want to, because I'm going to give you the proper thing anyway. So now, We said that he's abusive. Oh, there had been several stories from other policemen. There have been several stories from other policemen that he had been abusive, and every single time without fail, it was thrown under the carpet and squashed out. And the reason being why it was thrown out and squashed under the carpet was two reasons. Number one, because he was a Freemason. Because I'm going to put that right out there up front so that everybody hears and understands. Freemasonry is wickedness of the highest order. Remember, I'm going to tell you that. Oh, for the English people, remember that I said that. Freemasonry is wickedness of the highest order.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
Disgusting. And it's not just because of the little rituals and things that they do, but it's because of how they intertwine themselves with each other and squeeze out everybody else.
Infiltrate everywhere. Yeah.
Right? So this guy, we said he's dirty. He's abusive. And he shouldn't even be in that position. So anyway, it's like every complaint about him is just being banished and swept away. And this was like, a historical thing. So before they even got to the point of getting to the committee where I was, they were already swept. Well, lo and behold, unfortunately for him, one got that far. And me with my big broad nose, I pushed it inside it. I said, oh, I'd like to get to know a little bit more about this one. And because I tabled it as a motion, then we had to find out more deeper information. So when we now found out this deeper information, now remember, this is a extremely high-ranking police officer. So that means he has a driver. He doesn't drive himself. He was accused by his driver of sexual abuse on a protracted basis. That was going on for a long time. And this guy had been, there were others that had reported other things within the same realm, and it was all now swept away because of his position. This guy stuck to his guns, and it was fully investigated, and it came out. He was found guilty of sexual abuse of his driver and manipulation. I'll not give you more details, but he was demoted and then fired. And this man was one of the most arrogant people I've ever met in my life. He was a pig. If you want to know, even if they call policemen pigs or not, this one was actually a pig. If any of the police would be called a pig, and you want to know how they're supposed to look and behave, he is one of them. He was a real pig. Right? But this is not an isolated case. It's one that we managed to grab and get hold of. And I'm telling you, for those who know me, you'll know why I'm saying it. I believe it's because I was there. Maybe if I wasn't there at that time, he'd have still got away with it. But God knows me and I know God. And now maybe even that man might know God too.
Yeah, it's true.
He was wicked.
More time, that's exactly what was going on. God thought, yeah, this is the opportunity to actually get him out.
But you see, why am I saying this? Because I'm trying to show people that irrespective of even what they may say, oh, we want to do this and we want to do that, the system that they have and the system that they run is not, it's not conducive. And I'm talking from being right inside of the system. I've gone to meetings. I've gone away for what do you call these things now? Not exactly like, I don't know, like an away day, but it was more than a day. Training, some sort of a home office training, where all the senior staff were there. So I'm talking of all the chief constables in the UK, all of the deputy chief constables in the UK, all of the assistant, or at least one of them, because at least one had to stay behind to run the force. The assistant chief constables in the UK, and plus members of parliament, the Home Secretary, and members of the police authority. And we were all together in conference. And I'm telling you, they are some nasty people. They're not nice. They are not nice.
Of course.
You see, now they accepted somebody like me, little black man who was in his nice suits and tie, and he's in that position because they felt like, oh, he was in that, you're in that position, so you know,
you must be a certain.
you must be a certain. Maybe they thought I was a coconut.
I'm telling you,
You know,
that's what it
because
is. Dad.
because
I
the
know.
Home Secretary appointed me, so I must be a coconut.
Yeah.
And then when they used to start chatting their rubbish, and I would be like, really? I said, do you want to know what I think about that? And they would be like, oh.
Yeah, suddenly skipping up.
What's Roy saying?
He said the system, the system, the system.
Yeah,
Old boy network.
I'm telling you, old boy network. You don't know what he means. He's talking about the old boy network is really what I'm talking about.
Oh,
Freemasons and all that.
right.
The ones who even they go to certain types of school.
Yeah.
Only a certain tier of people will become the top police.
Yeah.
Right? So it's all, and this is what I'm saying. And I saw that firsthand. It's all set. There's only a certain type of people who will become the chief constable,
Yeah.
commanders if it's London, and so you know, assistant chief constable and deputy chief constable. There's only a certain tier of people who will get into those positions, and others will never ever get there.
Same school.
That's right. They're all part of the same clubs. They're all part of the same Freemasonry groups, and so on and so forth. So you know that when you look at it, it's deeper than a colour thing. It's a heart thing.
Yeah.
These people, they're coming from the heart of wickedness. You see, and many of those police who are at that level, they're wicked.
Yeah.
That's what I'm telling you, and I'm not taking back my words.
Wow.
They're wicked.
That's
See?
they're very evident because it shows.
And they cover up a lot of things.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. Some people might not find this very interesting, or they might find that I don't really business. Because me, I know that it is so. I have seen it firsthand. I've been involved. They listen. Let me tell you this, just to prove a point about systems anyway in general. When I was part of the appointments committee, and we were to appoint a new chief constable for Northamptonshire at the time, and I'll say because that's where it was for that one. So when we were doing the vetting, the chief executive of the county council is the one who gives the advice to the police authority. So he came and he said, listen, he said, you know that this is just a formality. This is how he spoke. Right? And this guy was a real toffee-nosed git.
Yeah.
One of those real, yeah, I must have gone to eat. Like that. So, well, you know, I'm just coming to tell you all, you know, that this is just a mere formality. You know that. And so, yes, of course, I know you have to read the paperwork, but you know, we already know who the next chief constable is supposed to be, don't you?
See?
Right? And basically, he came in there to browbeat everybody to agree with who he said politically should be the next chief constable. And telling you, vote for blah, blah, blah. So I sat there looking, because by them times there, first of all, I was very young by then, you know what I mean? And also, I'd never like, what's that? What?
Everyone's going to guess who you mean now.
About what?
Because of your
impression.
Everyone's going to guess.
Yeah. Rissy said that.
They won't be able to guess who it is. They can't. They cannot. I'm sure probably by now that man is dead.
Was he old then?
I'm not saying.
He's dead, he's gone.
I bet he's not alive now, trust me.
And we know where he went.
Right? So I was like, oh, I didn't know this is how they do their things.
Yeah. Imagine.
So I was just sat there because I know nobody I can talk to. Because
Looking around.
little black me, I'm there alone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, and these people are older than me and they're all white. And I'm like, I'm not asking them anything. So I'm thinking, is this how they do their things? Coming there and it's like, it's already like, and then my man's there, then when we were doing the vetting, my man is there writing little bits of paper and passing them around the room.
Telling you obviously clearly
Take, like,
name on it.
you know, when you, because we all had to read the same thing at the same time, right? Because they and this is what you've got to understand this. The UK is very good at showing a semblance of doing things right, but they are, pardon my language, they're full of shit.
Yeah.
That's what I have to say, right? Because they're all showing the semblance of that, you know, yeah, that we're all, so everybody, all of the committee, we had the same file for you know, you had a file for each person. I remember this is a high ranking position, so they're not joking, according to them. Your files are like this. And we had to read them all at the same time. So everybody's, you know, speed reading together. And then they're asking you, have you finished? You know, have you read what you need to read? Can you make a decision on whether this person should go forward, you know, to the next round or not? So what was happening now, this dirty chief executive is writing his little piece of paper and passing them round, telling people who they should throw out and who should be in the next round. Now you see, there's no cameras in there. There's nothing, so who can see him doing that? See? So when he's writing his paper and passing it to me, I'm just grabbing them, pouring them up, and dashing them. Because I'm like, don't try that with me. And his face was all bent up, looking at me because he's wondering what I'm doing. And when I'm writing, I'm not allowing him to see me because officially he wasn't there.
Yeah.
You see? Exactly, Anita. Officially, he wasn't there, but he's the one running the whole thing from behind and trying to manipulate. You see?
Yeah.
And because of that, I made sure that who he was voting and advocating for didn't get in.
Yeah.
Because when they were asking, do you have objectionable questions, etc., etc., I dug out every question I could find, just to make sure that it threw doubt into the minds of other people. And I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I did it because, and these things, you know, I'm telling people things that maybe you just wouldn't have been able to know otherwise. But hey, you know, oh yeah, it's all done nice and fair. No, it's not. They don't do nothing fair. Even until this day, they don't. Even the last thing I'll tell you, another personal thing, because, you know, I over the years have had a passion for the criminal justice system, or at least I used to have. Now they can take it and go, I'm a Christian, praise the Lord. Anyway, but they know what they can do with it. Hallelujah. Amen. But let me tell you, even recently, I said I'll try again with the police. So they said that they're on a recruitment drive. They want to recruit 20,000 new police officers across the country, right? 20,000 is a lot. So in order, and there's a lot of work that's going to be involved in them recruiting this 20,000 new police officers. So one of the things that they said, they want to ensure that they get the best possible people for the job at every level. And now, obviously, as you can appreciate, if you're going to recruit new police officers, that means that other ones are going to be promoted and moved up. So the whole process, you know, is what they're talking about, right? So what they now said, they said, oh, we want more black, and they specified black people to be involved in the recruitment process. So they had a position for recruitment advisor. That might not be exactly the right name for it, I can't remember. But basically, what the position was, if I'd got the post, I would have been given the information of all potential recruits. I would have gone even to the training school, and I will assess them along with the other police staff. So I would assess them as an independent So I will be privy to exactly the same information as all the police staff, and I will watch them going through their training and report on them, report on how they are training and what they're doing, etc., etc. And at the end of it, make a decision whether they should become a police officer or not. I would have been part of that process. Now, I would have not been the ultimate. I don't know why somebody's laughing about that. I wouldn't have been, but I would have been part of that. They said, oh, we want black people. So I said, oh, good, all right, let me apply. Now, if you consider my track record, ex-prison officer, Home Office appointed member of police authority for 4+ years, you know, I've got one little pull on my criminal record. Literally, you might as well call it that. Right? I've never gone to jail, but I have one little pull on my criminal record. So the dirty, nasty, stinking Metropolitan Police, because that's what they are, and nobody can change my mouth of what I'm saying. I talk it plain. Metropolitan Police in London are the worst police force in the country. They are rubbish, disgusting. Let me tell you that straight. And I don't think many black men would argue with me that what I'm saying is wrong. London Metropolitan Police are rubbish. So they were the ones, and asked me, only Jesus knows why they had to be the one in charge of the vetting. So they're the ones in charge of vetting me, and they said, no, they don't want me. I'm not suitable. Interesting, isn't it? And they
like says, we won't have a little pop on our record.
Who said that? Well, you know what I mean, right? Imagine, no, I'm not suitable, right?
Yeah, someone's put that. Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Who's that?
Lloyd.
Oh yeah. With all the experience and everything else, no, they don't want me. And then also, the way how it all came out, I knew what was going on. My son got arrested, and when he was arrested, I didn't even know where he was. In fact, I didn't even know at first that he'd been arrested.
Yeah, because
because they said now he's 18 plus, so we don't have to tell you and all this. So then straight after he was arrested on the Saturday. Sunday, which is a strange day because normally, you know, you wouldn't expect to be getting any office communication. I get a communication from the Metropolitan Police. There are further things that we cannot disclose why we have refused your vetting. And I'm like, oh, you would, because my son has been jailed.
Yeah.
Yes, Anita.
That's
yeah.
right.
They don't want you because you know too much.
And this is what I'm saying.
And that's the truth.
And at the end of the day, my son being jailed has got nothing to do with me doing that work.
No. Well,
Because is he gonna remotely read my laptop from jail? Because he's not gonna read my stuff.
If he's in jail, then he's in jail. Furthermore, they said he's 18 and we don't need to know where
We
he
don't
is.
have to disclose any
So,
information. So
What?
therefore, what's that got to do with
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You imagine.
As far as they're
Suits them.
concerned, you don't know where he is.
And this is what I'm saying, that they'll lie and say, oh, we want involvement, you know, because we want a more transparent policing. And no,
It's
they
lies.
don't. They're not
want
transparent.
someone
They've never been
with
transparent. And I don't believe they will ever be transparent.
Never. They will never be transparent.
Because that's why-
their nature, isn't it?
That's why until now, there's only been one black person that's been the chief constable of
Exactly.
any police force. And there's like, I don't know what, 168 different police forces or whatever. And there's only been one black person ever as a chief constable.
Not even just like
Right?
in one place. Ever.
So you got to know, they're not transparent, and they're not going to be transparent any day soon. They are racist,
No, why would they be?
right? And on top of being racist, they are evil,
Yeah.
which
And that's
is
why
probably
they-
just worse.
They want to choose the types of black people.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it is specifically.
They want
now
coconuts.
We have to
Not the
have
right
black.
type of black.
Yeah, because now of course it's that, oh, we have to have black people in it because
Yeah,
if you
tokens.
go, we look a certain way. So get a couple of them coconuts in and we'll be right as rain. That's what they be saying in his office.
Yeah.
Get a
You
couple
already
of
know.
them coconut ones who want to be
That's what I'm
white.
saying. And then
And
when
put them
somebody
in there.
like me, they'll be like, ooh,
Nice. this is not.
we're not going to get the right staff in there if he's sitting in there.
Yeah,
exactly.
he's gonna
Because
keep
he'll be saying, cutting them off.
Yeah, because
And you know I would.
As soon as you even get a little,
I'd be like, no.
Freemason,
I'd be cutting them off.
comes from the top of the pyramid to divide and conquer.
Yes, it does. Yes, it
That's
does.
exactly it. Because it's all part of their agenda.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
You know, and that's why.
they take those Freemasons take those positions
Exactly.
in the first place. Yeah.
That's why I asked that question. Do Black lives really matter to the police? And we
The
know.
answer is no.
We already know that actually they don't. They never have done. They never have done. And now, listen, I'll give you a bit of statistics. We're not even going to stay on here too long because I'm already vexed. I'm getting more mad as I'm sitting here. To be fair, I'm just really, yeah, please. I'm just trying to hold it down, but I'm vexed. You know, because I just.
Yeah, because it's getting
Yeah.
serious now.
No, because
Level of-
and also because I don't like it. Is it still turning? Or is it, because I don't like the fact that they're taking money for food,
Yeah.
right? And this is what I don't like because, you know, they've got this. What's the need to say?
They won't even have coconuts because they have been cracked to make sure they are white on the inside.
Yeah, exactly. You know, they want to pretend too much that you know, we are doing the right thing, blah blah blah, right? So if it blows off the window.
That's all right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm like, I've had enough because you're just all the time trying to. Oh no, you know we know we made some mistakes, and then blah blah. Listen,
That's not all. There's only some and all this rubbish. Who's training them?
I was gonna talk.
But then when things are happening, the rest of them ain't saying nothing. So therefore, it is all of you.
I was going to talk about the things that they've done, police to black people, but I'm not sure if I can talk too much about that without blowing a fuse too far. I'm going to talk a little bit, and I'm going to mention one person in particular because that person is very much my era when we were youth, teenagers, and all that, right? So I'm going to mention that one person and mention his case, and people can Google it and look it up because it's never been solved, right? It's never been solved, and that's the thing that, and I don't see that much change from that time until now. You see, and this is why. But I'll talk about that one in a minute. But I'll give you a couple of statistics. What's she saying?
The others can't say anything due to the secrecy at their side.
Which others?
That's what I'm saying. That we just said, oh, it's not all police, but then the ones that it's not are not saying anything.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, but then it's Anita. You're right, and it's not even just that. You know something else that is an issue is Roy called it the old boys network, and he's right because that also is the issue because within those systems like the prison service, the police service, the old boys network is very 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 strong. And when you are a serving officer, they can really mess you up, you know, if you're not careful. So this then becomes a problem because you have to know how you can say things and where to pull back.
Yeah.
Let me give you an example, a personal example within the prison. When I became a prison officer and I was working at the prison where I was the first and only black officer in that prison. I've been a lot of firsts where it comes to black people. That's me, you know. Maybe one day I'll make some claim out of it, you know. But there was an issue there because I knew there's a few racist officers there. In fact, not a few, quite a few. And the first thing they did with me when I first started there was introduce me. Thank you. Introduced me to the race relations officer. So I said to them,
That's the first.
that's the first thing they did.
Already, my
Right?
head would have been.
But all I know, they introduced me to this guy, and when you know, you can smell a racist a mile off.
Yeah.
So I said to them, why is he the race relations officer and he's racist? And they were like, because they couldn't believe that I just said it plain like that. I said, why is he the race relations officer and he is racist? And they're like, oh, what do you mean? I said, never mind. I said, don't worry. I said what I said. So they already had me marked down from that day. Hey, this guy, blah, blah, blah. He's not, he's not going to toe the line, him. So, being a new officer, as it were, and learning the ropes and this and that, you've got to go through your things. So what I saw the way they were treating black and other minority prisoners, particularly black and Asian. And I watched for a while, not saying much, because I was still, new to the thing and all of that. But then I decided to start being a bit more vocal. So I made a mistake. Very funny. I made a mistake one day. Now, what would have normally happened with the old boys network, if you made a mistake on a landing, the other officers will cover it. They'll just sort it out and just tell you whatever it was that you did and say, yo, watch, blah, blah, blah. So what happened now, the mistake I made was that one of the prisoners who was part of the serving team, I went with him, took all the things back to the kitchen and came back. And he said, it's all right, boss, I will shut my door myself. See? Now, normally, there are some who actually will do that. They will shut their door themselves. This particular one, he told me he'll shut his door himself, and I said, okay. And like I said, he's supposed to be a trusted prisoner. My man didn't shut his door. So I signed for the landing that everybody is locked in. Your signature is binding. And I signed it and said everybody's locked in. And lo and behold, after I'd signed it, here comes my non-friendly officer behind me and finds that door is open and reports me to the governor and leaves the door open.
Yeah.
To make it worse, to say, oh yeah, he's now. So obviously that was an issue for me. I got reprimanded for that, blah blah blah. So as you can imagine, after that I became super hardcore, and nobody could tell me anything without me checking. I checked every single thing of everything of everything. Right?
You can't risk
And this is what I'm saying, but that was simply because they're saying, okay, you black bastard, we're going to show you. And I mean, you don't even know the half of it. You don't even know the half of it. This is what I'm saying to you about the old boys network. We had a box that the staff used to stand in when the prisoners were out on exercise. The staff used to stand inside this box so that we didn't get wet with the rain. So basically, from inside that box, it had windows all around, so we could see them and we could see what they're doing as they're going around the exercise field, and we're just sheltering inside the box. So one of the officers had decided to write in there that there's a certain monkey black bastard officer who he doesn't like and who he wishes he would leave the jail. Now there were two things. There's only one black officer in the whole prison, so quite obviously that idiot is referring to me. Second to that, he's an idiot because he was on the same wing as me and I recognized his handwriting.
Yeah.
Now, because I'm a good Christian, today I will not tell you exactly word for word what I wrote, because I put a response. Because what I did first, listen, you two, hold on. You got to understand this thing called patience, and I have a lot of it. Because I didn't reply straight away. What I did was I read it, and I said, good. I said, let me see how long this is going to stay here before anybody says anything. So I timed it. I waited a week. It was still there. Now remember, prisoners go on exercise every single day. Minimum once a day, sometimes more. Minimum once a day, Monday to Friday, weekends twice. So that means that there will be an officer standing in that box, two times Saturday and Sunday, that's 4, and 5. 9 times per week, there will be an officer standing in that box, reading that rubbish that he had written. I left it a week, nobody said anything. I left it 2 weeks. So on the 3rd week, I said, okay, this is the way you want it. So I wrote now, and I said, listen, there's a word that Jamaicans use that's, it's that one beginning with, So I said, you who wrote that, right? I said, know this. I said, I know who you are, and now you know I know who you are, right? I said, if you're man enough that you want to have to say something, I said, yo, bring it. Otherwise, don't put your hand back in here and write nothing whatsoever. So all of a sudden, the next day after I wrote that, there was a directive from the governor to all staff. All staff are reminded not to deface the boxes, what they call the guard boxes or whatever they call it. All staff are reminded, blah, 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 do not deface, that's not what you're there for, stick to your job, etc. And then, within a week, every box was repainted.
Of course.
So you tell me what that looks like. What?
Because Lloyd has put.
What's the one about?
He said
Too many closet
there's
racists.
too many closet
Who
racists
said
out
that?
there.
Lloyd,
Lloyd, he said
Find them the worst.
about the same old boy networks with their secret handshakes causing all the turmoil and chaos going on in the world today.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
this is it. This is it.
Very, very true.
This is what I'm saying. And you imagine. So I know what I've experienced. So if people were even to tell me, oh, well, blah, blah, blah. And I had patience. I waited.
You did.
I waited.
I've been saying, why am I still seeing that rubbish in the box? Why ain't it been, I'm not understanding why it's been painted.
And this is what I'm saying. And this is what I've seen or experienced firsthand with my own eyes. I have seen with my own eyes, they restrained a black prisoner. I wasn't part of the restraint, but I was on the wing. And they had concrete stairs, and they banged his head on every concrete step coming all the way down. I reported every last one of those officers. I reported them, and one of them, he hated me from that day, and said he's going to get me back. And he lied on me, and I got put into a disciplinary case because of his lies.
Check the evidence and all that.
Yeah, he lied on me. I got put into a disciplinary case, and different time. But yeah, these are the things, and of course they want to quickly believe him more than me.
I said, I bet nothing happened.
Nothing happened to them. No,
Yeah, you see.
nothing happened to them.
And this is the moment.
But I did do some good. While I was there, I wrote a postgraduate diploma in criminology. While I was in that particular prison, and I did my dissertation on the disparity of punishment of Black and Asian prisoners in the segregation, and I got the prison to change their policy because of my dissertation, because the dissertation is public knowledge.
Public knowledge, yeah. And coming from there.
Yeah, me, I anybody who knows me, they know. But I tell you this because you don't know. but now because I'm just talking, I took the governor and the deputy governor of that prison. I took them to industrial tribunal for race discrimination. And although I didn't win the case, unfortunately, because the person who took my case and was representing me didn't have enough legal knowledge to know how to twist it. Because, hey, you think, oh my God, I tell you, if I can't, that would be a whole show in itself for me to talk about. When we took the case, I think the lady who was supporting me, I think she didn't realize how overwhelming it would be. Do you know who represented the governor and the deputy governor of that prison? Treasury solicitors. The very top.
Serious.
They sent them from the Home Office. Treasury solicitors at industrial tribunal. So those guys were barristers, and they came, in there, anyway, three-piece suite suit, and all, and the lady who was supporting me, she was like, what? She couldn't handle the, where they went with it, and yet the chair of the tribunal, who was a judge, he ruled, and he said because you didn't bring the case properly.
Yeah, this is it.
Right, and this was back before. This was also before they changed the law. Because had I brought it after the change of the law, I would have won the case. But this was brought under the when I took them to tribunal, it was under the 1976 Act, and under the 1976 Act, you had to prove beyond doubt.
Yeah.
When they changed the law, you could prove it by a feeling.
Yeah.
So I was out of time. She couldn't prove it the way that it was needed for that law. So the judge said, because you didn't bring the case correctly, on the point of racial discrimination, it's a no. But what he did say is that what she should have done, and she didn't include it in the paperwork, he said you should have included victimization in the paperwork. And he said, if you had included victimization in the paperwork, you will have won the case.
And that's how
So he ruled on them for victimization, although it wasn't in my case.
Lloyd said that's the key. You have to know the language of law, or you are fighting a losing battle.
Yeah.
Too many Freemason judges out there.
Exactly. So on the basis of technicality, we didn't. But they knew I'm not someone that they can just come and step, and I don't have anything to say.
Yeah.
I took them all the way. But I think for me, because I just used the local Racial Equality Council, and I think she was just out of her depth, and of course, because she didn't know they were going to send barristers from the Treasury Solicitor Office, she was shocked to death. They sent the biggest guns that they could.
Even just their presence, you know that they're serious.
Mm.
That's from when they walk in.
Yeah.
You already know what's going to happen. Yeah, they're not smiling at me. No, they're not. They're not smiling.
And when she heard the credentials, she was just like,
yeah.
And they had all sorts of information about me that you would have not even thought that they would be reading such things. So this is what I'm telling you, that anyway, we won't talk anymore about that. That's it. Coming towards a close anyway. So, oh yeah, it would be, wouldn't it?
They did that earlier, tried it earlier actually.
Listen to this. Asking statistics, but it's still roughly going to be within the realms of correctness. There were 125,286 police officers employed by police forces in England and Wales. And 93% are white. Just 1.3%, like I told you, are black. So it's very, very non-diverse. Now listen to the statistics of what the police do to us. Black people are almost, I think it's about 9, they've said more than 8, but I think it's 9.8 times more likely than white people to be stopped and searched. When compared to the population, it means that 37 out of 10,000 white, 37 people out of 10,000 white people are stopped, whereas 315 blacks out of 10,000 are stopped and searched. Nationally, there has been an increase in the use of Section 60, which allows police to stop people without suspicion that a crime is actually taking place. And, you know, everybody has seen things on Facebook and so forth, right, continuously about that. Oh yeah, that's true, Roy. It's very true. I did really cause them to move the needle. It's true. I know we didn't win the case, but it changed a lot of things. And in fact, just to answer to what Roy's saying there, the deputy governor of that prison, when he was leaving and moving to another prison, he came to me in my office. I was working in reception as a reception officer. He came in there and he said, I'm going to talk to you now man to man because I'm leaving anyway. He said, and I hated you. Those are the words. Said, I hated you. He said, actually today I don't. He said, I've come to tell you today that I respect you. He said, but I hated you with a passion because of what you did. And I said, because of what I did. I said, I did what I did because of what you did.
Yeah.
Because of the way you people treated me. and this is what I'm saying, because the systems are racist. You see? Even in areas where they should not be. Do you know, I can't remember which year it was, it's just come to mind, and again, this is my personal experience, but I supported the black and ethnic minority prisoners to form their own, which they called the Minority Inmates Advancement Committee. Because what they basically said was that they didn't want to be part of the Race Relations Committee because they said the one who's heading the race relations in that prison was racist. So by law, they had the right to form their own committee, and they asked me to support them in the formation of that committee. So I formed them, I helped them to form the committee, and lo and behold, all of a sudden I was co-opted onto the prison race relations committee, and I wasn't there before. But as soon as I supported the prisoners to form their own committee, I was then co-opted. Maybe they thought that I would now, you know, be the bridge between the two, and I'd be given information. But there's no such thing. I did not. Now, one of the things that we did, when I say we, because I worked with the prisoners, we got Radio 1 DJ and Gladdywax sound system to come into the prison. So musical people, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So Tim Westwood came in and Gladdywax, they brought the whole sound system, all the speakers. So when they came on a Sunday afternoon. So I was given special duty to actually stay within the group when they came in. So when the sound system came in, they set up all the speakers in the gym, and that's where the performance was going to be. There were probably, I would say, around 280 prisoners at that event. Black, white, Asian, you know, and mostly reggae, but not 100% reggae. Do you know? And this also is illegal. But they decided that they don't care. They gave me a radio. I remember I was off duty. They gave me a radio and said, "Oh, you stay," and they refused. Every officer who was assigned duty that day refused to go in the gym. So I was the only prison officer inside the gym with 280 prisoners inside the gym, and they were all standing outside at the door. I said, "Oh, We can't take it. We can't. This bass is too much. We've
No.
never heard anything like this before in our lives.
You never been to no concert?
No, but sound system is. And they refused. They refused, and I was the only one. And well, you know, black man's music, isn't it? They don't want to hear it.
It's because it's
They were
inside them and
angry.
they don't like it.
And the thing is, I laughed my head off because when they came, they saw all these speakers being set up, and they're looking and thinking, ooh. And now, when they started it, they turned it nice and steady. They didn't turn on the subwoofers at all, right? But then I said, when I went in the gym, I said, come on, guys, just, you know. I said, run the sound how you run the sound. When they turned on the subwoofers, they jerked out the whole prison. You could hear that music everywhere in the prison. And those guys were angry. When I say angry, I mean angry. You see?
And that probably made them more angry.
Of course, because they're getting to enjoy it.
Anyway,
You know what I mean?
I could talk on because, you know, I've been part of their system, so, you know.
People don't want Christmas.
They don't want them to smile even.
Yeah.
And especially the black ones, they didn't want them to have, how could they be? And also, they wanted it to be a problem. And imagine, I was the only officer in there, and I could control the whole room. Those guys respected even the shoes I was wearing.
Yeah.
Because of what I was doing for them.
Yeah, it's true. They wanted it to be a promise. They thought, oh, well, if we just leave them there and don't do our job, and
Then they'll have to run in
never be able
when
to
there was no problem.
you know, yeah,
That's what they were
that's
hoping
it.
for.
They'll never be allowed to do it again.
It was an event that was talked about for weeks after.
Of course.
I'm telling you.
If I was in there, I'd be loving it.
So imagine this now, back to the statistics, boring old statistics, but black people were 43 times more likely to be stopped.
43.
Yeah.
This is a joke, isn't it?
What a joke.
So now to you, this one is even more. Police are 5 times more likely to use force against black people than white people. Yeah, 5 times more likely. And when we're talking use of force, use of force means anything from handcuffing, restraint, excuse me, use of batons, sprays, tasers, and firearms.
Yeah.
Yeah? And they were 11 times more likely to use firearms, 8 times more likely to use batons, and 6 times more likely to use handcuffs on black people.
Yeah. What was I say about the
Black people in England and Wales were twice as likely as white people to be detained by police under the Mental Health Act. That's section 136. Under section 136, the police can formally detain a person if they appear to have a mental disorder in the interest of their own health or safety or for the protection of others. And how many times I say they are twice as likely to detain black people as white under that. Now, deaths in police custody. I've got a lot of statistics about that, but I'm just going to give you a little snapshot for now. Black people were also nearly twice as likely as white people to die either during or immediately after having contact with police. Between 2004-5 and 2018 and 19, 2,563 people died in police custody or contact. And that's all various different types of whatever it may be. And the only place where black people were less likely to die with contact with police was suicides or supposed suicides.
But that's the thing as well. Because they say, so you commit suicide, but that person would never commit suicide. There'd be no reason for them to do it. They've never had no relations or, do you know what I mean? And suddenly they commit suicide. No, it's not no suicide. You gotta just try to cover
That's
up
the ones
death.
killing.
Yeah.
And now listen to this one.
Mark
I know.
0.5. How you but you know statistics. You know statistics because you don't get half a person, but it's statistics, so that's why it's 0.5.
Yeah,
You
they have
know.
to do it numerically.
Smiley culture. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yes. That's what I'm saying. All this. I've got some of the statistics about some of them. 0.5 white people shot dead by police for every million of the population. 3.3. Listen up. 3.3 black people shot dead by police for every million of the population.
Not even one.
So it's not even
It's not even a heartbeat. That means it happened a one time. It's like a blip, but they have to put it on because it's a numerical evidence. That's what that is.
Smiley culture. Smiley culture is one of them.
Yeah.
Mark Duggan.
Listen,
Yeah.
that's all I know. Me, I don't give them all of them. I've got even too many. You'll even be like, I'm just for a little bit. People are gonna get anyway. I'm just gonna read some. You're not even, because there's lots. So here we go. Michael Ferrier died in Stoke Newington police station after being stabbed in a racist attack. That was 1978. Why did he die in Stoke Newington police station? Because the police did not give him any treatment. Inquest verdict unknown. In other words, nothing. S. Singh Grewal died in Southall police station. Inquest verdict unknown. 1979. Henry Floyd found hanged in cell. I remember these are all black people or minority ethnic. Now we'll read you now. Henry Floyd died in a cell. West End Central Police Station. All of these are Dutty Metropolitan Police so far. Suicide. That was the verdict. John Eshiet, 1979, died in Brixton Prison while awaiting trial. Inquest unknown. Richard Campbell, 1980, died of dehydration after being force-fed large quantities of drugs in Ashford Remand Centre.
I remember that one.
Right? Death by self-neglect because of inadequate medical facilities. Self-neglect. He didn't feed himself the drugs, but it's self-neglect. I'm going on, there's more. Leroy Gordon, 1980, died in Pershaw police station of asphyxiation due to compression of the neck. In other words, police pressed out his neck until he died. They strangled him out.
Yeah.
Right? Winston Rose, 1981, died in a police van after being restrained by police officers taking him to psychiatric hospital. Verdict, unlawful killing at the hands of the police. So at least that one, finally. How many? All those ones I've read, and there was nothing yet.
Yeah.
Shahiq Mia died in Thornhill Police Station, 1981. Inquest verdict, unknown. Paul Worrell, suicide, found hanged in Brixton Prison, open verdict. Means nothing.
Yeah.
Changa Singh died of alcoholic poisoning in Cathay Park Police Station.
What's the name of that scene?
Verdict, misadventure. Franklin Lee, 1982, died of mysterious injuries sustained. Inquest verdict unknown.
Sustained from
Police. Simeon Collins, 1982, died of acute injuries to liver and spleen. God of heaven. After being arrested by City Road Police, Dutty Metropolitan Police again. Yo, listen to the verdict. Listen to the verdict. Accidental death. Damage to your liver and your spleen. Accidental death. Are they mad? Colin Roach, Now this is the one that I said I wanted to emphasize on because this was from my era, and we knew this guy, Colin Roach. He was a couple of years older than me, still. From Stoke Newington area, a young guy. You know what I mean? Colin Roach got into some kind of little blah 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 with the police, some little argument thing, and this was the time when police were harassing everybody, right? And Colin is telling them basically, you know, I told them one or two bad words, right? So they decided that they're gonna, you know, think. So they clapped him up, and then they let him out. So that was the first time. Then they're on him again. So they clapped him up, and he's giving as good as he's getting. So they've decided now that they're going to get him, and that's it. They're having him, and they don't want him around because, you know, we liked him. The youngers who were younger than him were looking up to him and thought, yeah, go on. You know, let the police know they must move on, go about their business, right? So they arrested him. Listen to this carefully, and you can find all the evidence. Took him to Stoke Newington police station, right? And while he's in the front of the station, two so-called men walked in with a shotgun and shot him at close range and murdered him in the police station. Murdered him in the police station, and then eyewitnesses have said that the people who shot him, they've seen them the day before in police uniform. Right? Colin Roach, look him up. The evidence is there. There's even a song about him and everything. Yeah? Gunshot wound sustained while he was in Stoke Newington police station. Oh, sorry. Yes, even it almost slipped my mind. I have to even take off my glasses. The joke of the whole thing. Do you know what they said the verdict was? Because what they did, those two dirty, nasty, stinking police, they came with a shotgun. They shot Colin Roach in Stoke Newington police station, and they took the gun and they put it in his hand. Shotgun, right? And said that it was suicide, that he shot himself with a shotgun. How in the world was he gonna do it?
You must have the longest arm.
Right?
I know.
And there was no evidence. There was no evidence even of any shotgun material on his hands or anything. They took it and they put the shotgun in his hand and they said it was suicide. And that was the verdict. That was the coroner's verdict. And then people wonder why, just a little after that, 2 years later, everyone wants to be tearing down the whole of London and Birmingham and up and down, and black people are mashing up the place with riots. And they wonder why. Right? The verdict. What's that there?
That swiftly got swept under the carpet.
Yeah. It was. They said the verdict was suicide. It must be joke. What's that there? I can't see.
Well, it's the same one, yeah.
Oh, just moved up.
Yeah.
Imagine it was swept under. It was swept under the carpet. And that one I remember it so well. Because he is somebody who I knew. It's not even a stranger to me, it's somebody who I knew. And the police murdered him in Stoke Newington police station. They got away with it. And those who don't know, there used to be a police station in Dalston, right? Those of you who don't know, but some people who are from them ends, you might know. There was a police station in Dalston. That was one of the worst police stations on the face of this earth. They were the most racist police. And they were headed by Stoke Newington anyway, right? Their Dalston Junction police station. They had to close the police station because the amount of black men that died in that police station. Check the history and see if I'm telling one word of a lie. Dirty Metropolitan Police, London Police, right? There's not much information about it because I don't know, it's a library or I don't know what it is now, something. But that police, they had to close the station Because man wanted to break down and mash up that station. And why not? Across the road, there was a club, that one I think was called Cubies. Used to do a lot of lovers rock and this and that. It was run by this guy who died now anyway. They used to call him Jati. Carlton Morgan, his name was. And that club there, every day, the police used to come flying out from that Dalston police station straight over there when the young people were coming out. What's that?
Censorship.
Yeah, there's I don't know what information you find about it, but they can't tell me that I'm lying because I was around them times there, right? And I know they killed off enough black people in that dirty police station there, till they had to close it. Right? They had to close it. They were beating up everybody. What? Everybody who went there got beat up. You just know if you're going to that police station, you're coming out beat up.
Yeah.
Right? Because all they had in there was pure thugs and hooligans. And they would just be in there thumping up all the black youth.
Yeah. Well, people laugh when I say, "Oh, the police are a government scam." People
But they
think
are, though.
I'm telling a joke or something. I'm not telling a joke.
No,
That's
it's
the
facts.
fact.
Yeah.
They are their gang. They use them to do what they want to do, and they also appoint these horrible ass people.
Imagine,
I think people can do what they want.
I've got nowhere with what I'm reading.
Yeah.
There's enough. James Ruddock, 83, died after being denied treatment for diabetes and sickle cell for 12 hours. Kensington Police Station.
I've been hearing that one too.
And again, listen to the verdict. Natural causes attributed to self-neglect.
No, it's
How is it self-neglect when they wouldn't give the man his
Yeah.
medication?
that they knew he would die from if he didn't have.
God of heaven. Nicholas of Ofosu. Death by misadventure. Yeah.
What does that even mean?
It means nothing. It means they killed him and got away with it.
Yeah.
Matthew Paul, 1983, found hanged in Leman Street Police Station, London again.
Yeah.
Suicide due to lack of care. Suicide, you know. Leslie George Singh, 1983, fell from the 4th floor of Hammersmith Hospital after being transferred from Wormwood Scrubs. Verdict unknown.
They was trying to kill him.
And they killed him. They killed him because he couldn't afford fell. Because again, insider information. I was a prison officer, so I know how prisoners were escorted in hospital. So he would have been chained to a prison officer. So that means they undone the chain and flung him out,
Yeah.
right? Because otherwise, how come the prison officer didn't go over as well?
Yeah, exactly.
Lying, wickedness.
Lloyd said that's why they call it the thin blue line. It's a fine line between the law and corruption.
Yeah, man. It's exactly that. Michael Dean Martin, 1984, accidental death aggravated by lack of care. Curtis Marsh, 1984, suicide risk who hanged himself in Brixton Prison. Joshi Chitanjan, found hanged in his cell, Pentonville. 1985, Harold Roberts, suicide. 1985, James Hall, unknown. So the man just died and he died for no reason, he just
He
died.
must have just got that thing in it. Sudden death
Syndrome. 1985, John Mickelson, unlawful kill. Oh, another unlawful killing, finally. After police appeal. Oh no, sorry. After the police appeal, the verdict was changed to death by misadventure.
So they got caught out on their teams, and then the guys went and told his little friend,
Yeah.
"Hey, nah, I don't want that. I want the clean slate." They said, "Oh yeah, go for it, mate."
Cynthia Jarrett, 1985. A lot of people will know about Cynthia Jarrett because that caused another riot there in London. And hear what the verdict was: death by accidental death. And the police killed her. And that one again I know about. They killed Cynthia Jarrett and they're saying it was accidental death. Yeah, imagine. Keith Hicks, 1986, death by misadventure. Anthony Lloyd Powell, 1986, given an overdose injection of Modicate. Verdict open.
Why is it open? What's open? Because no one's saying who gave the injection.
That's it. Of course they're not. Those records would have been rubbed out.
Yeah.
Stephen Bogle, 1986, natural causes. Donald Chambers, 1986, death by misadventure. Anwar Qureshi hanged himself in Brixton prison. Caiaphas Lemard, drug abuse, aggravated lack of care. Mogul Akhtar died in Holloway prison while on remand, 1987. Was denied medical treatment for a heart condition. Verdict, natural causes aggravated by lack of care. Clinton McKerbin, death by misadventure. Ahmed Katongole, 1987, suicide, risk suicide aggravated by official indifference and lack of care. Jasbir Singh Ray, hanged in Wakefield prison. Nina Jallow, I remember that one as well. Misadventure, death by misadventure. Mohammed Parkit, 1987, open verdict. Anachu Osita, natural causes. Tunay Hassan, drug dependence aggravated by lack of care. John Ryan, that was a big one, in Winson Green Hospital. Admitted with dehydration, and they gave him no water, no nothing. He was seen drinking his own urine. Death by lack of care. Anthony Marnie died naked in a strip cell in Brixton prison. Had a history of mental illness. Verdict, natural causes aggravated by lack of care. Terence Brown, 1987, verdict open. Mark Ventor, 1987, asphyxia caused by chewing gum in throat. Oh, well.
And either way, clearly he was choking him out.
Yes, of course. Joseph Palombella, 1987, verdict unknown. Femi Adelaja, 1987, died of a heart condition in a cell at the Old Bailey. Denied treatment for sarcoidosis of the heart. Inquest verdict unknown.
What's unknown?
And he was denied treatment.
That's what I'm
That's
saying.
what the cause is.
Yeah.
Unknown.
What's to be unknown? That person should be in jail. Simple as that.
Samuel Carew, 1988, died in Brixton Hospital with
Not even
prison.
in the 90s yet.
No. Armando Bologna died of pneumonia in a locked hospital wing, Wandsworth prison. Verdict, lack of care. Bahadur Singh was, what's the word? Deported to India, died in India hours after leaving prison in UK, where he had suffered physical and racial abuse. Inquest verdict unknown. Oakley Ramsey, 88, verdict unknown. Kelroy Briscoe, hanged in Wormwood Scrubs. Joseph Watt, accidental death. Derek Buchanan, drowning. Sajan Atwell, 1988, hanged himself in Winson Green prison. Lack of care verdict was quashed and a new verdict recorded of suicide due to lack of care. 1988, Martin Richard found hanged in Brixton prison. 1988, Wayne Toberson found hanged in Wandsworth prison. 1988, David Duke, open verdict. 1989, Nicholas Bramble, accidental death. 1989, Vincent Graham, inquest unknown. 1989, death by misadventure due to excess cocaine, Jamie Stewart. Edwin Carr, 1989, verdict unknown. Romani, 1989, found dead found dead in Charing's Wood prison. He had been screaming for a day and a night and had been ignored. Verdict unknown.
Well, of course it's unknown because you never went to see
Yeah, innit?
Siho Ayogiven,
Oh my gosh.
asylum seeker, set himself alight in Harmondsworth Detention Centre.
How?
Death by misadventure.
Set
Because
yourself
because he just carries a lighter and matches
Yeah.
up his bum, innit? You know what I mean? You know, and obviously farted on the matches and blam.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, because
That's how it's just-
Lloyd said he carried out work in Wandsworth Prison, was getting a bad vibe from that place.
Oh yeah,
That's
That
surprising.
Wandsworth Prison, rough one. Jermaine Alexander, 1989, died after being removed from a strip cell. Had bruising all over his body. Natural causes.
I would have bruised that.
Show me where you got the bruises when you
Yeah.
was in
Yeah,
the
yeah, man. Listen, I can't even finish it. Look,
Oh my God.
look. If I read all that up, we'll be sleeping here.
Yeah.
There's so much. I've not even got to 1990 yet.
Yes, exactly,
Yeah.
Lloyd. Lloyd said the problem is because it comes from official sources, people believe the rubbish.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going on now.
Oh, but because you know, if I
Because it was
was
on
in
the
their-
news.
this is the thing, right? Someone like what Dad is saying here. These people are saying, "Oh no, you know, no, the case is still open, or there's been no verdict, and all these things." And then people will say, "You'll say to someone, oh well, the police killed that man." No, they didn't, because it said on the news, no verdict. So
Yeah.
obviously they didn't, and all of this. Yeah,
Indoctrination.
it's true. Roy said this is very sad, this still hurts and is very painful. It sounds like the list at the end of the film, Cry Freedom, based on the life of Steve Biko in apartheid South Africa.
Mhm. Mhm.
This is the thing.
You know, and like I said, there's
The
plenty
list
more. I'm
can't
not.
even end.
I'm reading more. I'm fagged out, man. I can't even. You know, because every one of them I'm reading, I'm feeling it.
Yeah.
And this is us. This is us, right? And look at how almost everything that you're reading is death by misadventure. Oh, they killed themselves. They killed themselves. How? They're in a
He's
listen.
the one that set himself.
He set himself on fire,
Set himself.
right? So he carries matches stuck up his butt, does he? And then he farted on the matches to set himself
So he
alight.
never got the search
Right?
right? Going in the cell.
But that's what I'm saying.
One person.
And
never got
and
searched.
unfortunately for them, inside information. I know how well people are searched. So and like the ones within the strip cell. Strip cell means exactly that.
Yeah.
Strip cell. They don't have any clothes,
They have nothing.
right?
No.
You give them a one. I don't even know what you want to call it. A tent,
Yeah.
right? To put over their head. It's got no arms, no nothing. Bam, straight over their head. And it can't be. And it can't be torn, it can't be twisted, it can't be turned to put around your neck or anything, right? And there's nothing in that cell.
No.
So how are they managing to die inside there,
Exactly.
But this is what
right? And they're on 24/7 surveillance
Yeah.
in a strip cell.
This is
Yeah.
There's somebody literally looking through the glass
Yeah.
at them like this,
Yeah.
when they're
24/7,
next person does
Yeah.
right?
into that.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
no,
you
there's
just-
no
So
time.
how did they do that? And it was death. Lie! Death by which misadventure?
No, there's no misadventure of the policeman at the place.
Yeah.
And this is why, because then people are even saying, why are people, you know, like in Minneapolis, people say, why are they burning down the precincts and
Why
the
not?
cars?
They're
And I
tired.
thought, and when you really think about it, if this is the UK, imagine how many people over there.
America is worse.
Serious amounts. You don't even want to know. You're even just from you're living in one area, 5 boys have been killed by the police that you know. And that's in just like 2 years ago, in the last 2 years or something. That's why they went on the way they did.
Yeah. Because they had enough.
Yeah. And I don't blame them. No. I feel like here in the UK as well, I feel like police officers are a bit more scared about losing their job.
Yeah, they're not quite as bad, but
Yeah.
but again, that kind of depends.
Yeah.
You know, it kind of depends on where you're looking.
I think maybe it's the nature of British people actually. compared to America.
Compared to, yeah.
Yeah, because I think, you know how British people are, because even when you've got a problem, you don't really say you've got a problem. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like Lloyd is saying, you know, someone from Texas.
Yeah, I can imagine.
You see, this is what I mean. He says, you don't even want to know, it's scary.
Yeah.
Because my friend, when she lived there with her dad lives in America, and she went and stayed there for a few years. And her dad was like telling her, like, oh, don't go to this place, don't go to that place, don't go to this shop or shopping place, you know, don't go to this other food shop, blah, blah, blah. And then saying that, you know, you need a gun there. Because people, not even just the police, them other little
racist people, you need
they're trying to
you have to have a gun and shoot them in their foot.
Yeah.
And me, I'd be having two, one on each hip. But you know,
she said when they went out, he said, "Don't worry, I've got my friend with me."
Yeah. But even we're laughing, but trust me,
truth. Yeah.
I'm not mincing my words, and people who know me, they know they don't. I don't. I'm just telling it like it is. Nowadays, because we got so much CCTV in the UK, things in certain areas have cooled off a little bit. Back in the day, I used to have two baseball bats in my car, right? A light one and a heavy one. The heavy one stayed in my boot, and the light one was right next to my seat, right? I kept the light one next to the seat because that one I could flip it up quick, right, if necessary. And I used to have them because I had to clap some people, right? So don't fool yourself that this thing is nice, because it's not.
This is what I mean.
Right? And I was never somebody going up and down looking trouble, but at the end of the day, I know I wanted to stay alive. So certain man had to get a little box up sometimes, right? Because some of them weren't listening and they weren't backing down. So you had to brush them up for them to hear. And that could be a whole talk show in itself, because people don't want to hear that. And that's why when they look at certain militant behavior from people, they're wondering why. But I'm telling you, if you've never been in that situation, then you just don't know, right? Because I can remember 7 years old, walking with my father. This is the last thing I'm saying, and I'm coming off it because I feel like I want to slap somebody. Right? 7 years old, I'm walking with my father, and it was Chelsea playing Cambridge United. Chelsea at that time, well, I don't, even till now, but a lot of the Chelsea fans were proper racist. Right?
Hold a mallet under.
What do you mean? Yes. What do you mean? You have to not. You have to not. You have to. Right? Because these things is real. 7 years old, I'm walking with my dad, and there's like hundreds of Chelsea fans coming, all wearing their 16 up airwear, them whatever them jackets were, flying jackets and all that, skinheads. Right. You know what I mean? So they're coming, doing monkey noises because they've seen some black people in it. And then when they're walking past, one of them flew, big old spit in my face. And I'm 7 years old. And I started crying, and my dad just said, just shush. Don't worry. And of course, there's hundreds of them, and it's him alone. So we just hold it down. But what they don't realize is that that was my dad. But you see, if it was me, and that was my child, we'd have had to not be on that road, because I'd have had to look for something to lick down one of them inside their forehead. Right? And I know my son, at least, well, not even both of them anyway. Both of them. They're not, that can't happen to them. So that's why they don't understand, because they're the ones who pushed it like this. And they thought, okay, the ones who first came, they said, okay, cool, we'll allow you and we'll try to deal with it in a different way. Let me tell you, the generation that is here now, they are not dealing with that. They will brock you up.
We are not our ancestors.
Right? They will brock you up.
And that's the truth. It's the truth.
Good night, God bless, and goodbye. We're done. We're vexed.
Bye, everyone.